Welcome to Snakes and Adders. Today we're just going to discuss something that's happening more and more often this time of year. More and more customers coming in with a worried look on their face, and usually the question that follows is, why is my beardie sulking? Well, it's an interesting question. When we think about bearded dragons and the immediate port of call for research, people realise they are desert or semi-arid animals. That's usually where the research ends, because they assume desert where it's red hot and then it's cold, and they don't take any more interest in the research side of where the animals are from. The process your beardie's going through this time of year is called brumation. This usually rears its head once an animal reaches sexual maturity. Sperm production is increased during the brumation period for males, and the ova start to mature and the follicles mature in the oviduct, ready for the coming breeding season. This takes a lot out of the beardies, and their natural body clock is telling them through cues around their environment that they need to go into this brumation process. So try as we might, trying to keep the hot end up with our thermostats and making sure that the basking area is nice and warm, we cannot do anything about barometric pressure, and when we're out of the house and the heating is off and the cold end starts to drop away, we can't really do anything about this. The animals will then take to the cool end. They might go a bit grey, they'll sulk, they'll sleep for an inordinate amount of time. Their appetite is diminished to almost nothing. Most shops, such as ours, midwinter, will see a drop in the amount of locusts sold simply because of the amount of bearded dragons that are going through their brumation process. So let's take it back a step. Where are bearded dragons from? They've got a huge natural range in Australia. And the inland bearded dragon, which is Pogona viticeps, is the animal that's most commonly kept when we refer to a bearded dragon. Their natural range runs from the Northern Territory to Queensland, New South Wales and South Australia. So if we take 2 points within this range, one in the north and one in the south of their natural range, we've got Mount Isa in the north and we've got Adelaide in the south. As the crow flies, that is 1,000 miles of variance. What we can do as well is we can look up the climate data for each of those areas to give us more clues about how our animals would naturally have to brumate. And it paints an interesting story. And what I'll do is I'll share the graphs that I've found, and this will hopefully make you understand slightly better the reason why your bearded dragon's going through its brumation process. So Mount Isa in the north, in its cool season, has a daytime high of 24 degrees, a median temperature of 16.6 and a low of 8.6. Remember, that's the northern range. In the southern range, Adelaide, the daytime high during the cool season is 14.9 degrees Celsius, a median of 11 degrees Celsius and a low of 7.4 Celsius. That is actually quite shocking when I think about bearded dragons, and we've got them at 45-50 degree basking spots. And in their natural range during their cool season, they're dropping to a daytime high in the north of 24 degrees and in the south 14 degrees. Shocking. Not only that, the amount of daylight, so we decide what the photo period of our animal is. In the north, the variance runs from in summer at 13.2 hours of daylight down to 10.9 hours of daylight. Also in Adelaide, because it's slightly more southern, we get more daylight, but then the reduction is greater. So they get 14.2 hours of daylight, and then that reduces to 9.8 hours of daylight in the cool season. You can use this information. I'm not saying you need to go as extreme as this, but if this is their natural life cycle, then we can use that to infer the way that we would look after our beardies. Most notably, I would probably reduce photo period. Normally people have got them on a 12 or 14 hour photo period, 14 hours of day, 10 hours of night. Maybe let's reduce that and flip it. So during the brumation period, there's 10 hours of photo period, 14 hours of night. We can probably shave our basking temperature slightly. This will stop the animals from burning off any excess weight, because the temperatures are still high even though they're trying to brumate and they are fasting and don't want to eat. So this will help reduce the amount of fat that they're going to burn, and then the weight reduction won't be as pronounced. And obviously as temperatures raise and barometric pressures change and we can bring them back out of this brumation, your animal will probably thank you for it. There's no need to get stressed, it's all part of a natural process. But it is definitely worth, when we're looking at our animals, trying to understand why they do the things they do. When we have got easily obtainable open source materials that can be found on Google within 30 seconds, which tell us about the natural range of our animals, where they're from, why they do what they do, and how can we help them when they're going through this process. You would only consider doing what I've suggested if your animal is in full health. If your animal is ill, then obviously lower temperatures will affect the way that its immune system can respond. This is only for healthy animals that are going to go through their brumation process, and we just want to stop the amount of fat burning and muscle tone loss throughout the brumation period. Your animal will snap back in spring as if nothing has happened and start feeding again like it's never gone out of fashion. So don't panic, it's not forever, it's only for a few months. If your beard is acting strange, this will probably help. So you can look at the graphs that we've shared. I hope the videos continue to be useful. We'll keep doing little bits to help people out. Visit the website, which is www.snakesandladders.co.uk, to see what we're all about. Cheers.